Hey guys, this is Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and welcome to our Week 8 Start and Sit Halloween edition. We are here to help you guys with your lineup questions. Obviously, if you follow us on Twitter and Instagram, your lineup questions as well. Before we continue our video, again, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down here. We are 20 subscribers away from hitting that 100 mark, and that is our next goal. So thank you guys who have subscribed, who have liked our content in the past. You guys have done a great job sharing the love. I appreciate all the comments you guys have given. You actually have given us some great feedback on what you guys like to see in these videos, so obviously we're going to implement that stuff as well. As you can see, I am a replication of my fantasy team this year. We are decimated with injuries, and you know what? I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Not really, but this is what it is, okay? I'm injured. My team's injured. But we're going to move forward, okay? We're going to get the win.
Don't worry about it, guys. I'm the one that gives the advice.
First of all, let's be real, okay? We're actually playing against each other this week, so it's going to be a little bit, hostile, but that's okay. I'm going to give him a nice little loss over there. I need to kind of gain some traction. So, yes, I am injured. I'm sure you guys have some injured players like Odell, who just recently happened this weekend. Kenyon Drake.
Hopefully you got Higgins.
Oh, man. There's some, again, a lot of injuries are still happening. So, we're here to help you guys with that. Now, going into our start and sits, we're actually going to give you our studs and duds of the week. So the first guy, it was kind of a toss-up. So stud of the week, we're actually going to give that to Tyler Lockett. I mean, this guy went crazy. I feel bad for anybody who had to go against him. I'm sure those who had him were excited. He had 15 receptions, 200 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. Pretty much destroyed DK Metcalf. I mean, yes, he had that amazing tackle. If you guys watched that was ridiculous. I want to see a race. All right, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, let's make that happen. But again, Tyler Lockett had a great game. He is absolutely the stud of the week, edging out Devontae Adams. So now we're going to go to our dud of the week.
Yeah, so dud of the week.
You know who it is.
I'm sure the guys that have this guy riding with him in their flex or wide receiver 2 spot, you're crying right now, but Chase Claypool, OMG, caught one ball for -2 yards.
Yeah. I'll take the blame. I jumped on that bandwagon. I probably cursed you guys. I apologize, but yeah. He absolutely was a dud.
Yeah. Man, Johnson did come back, which was, that played a factor for sure. Johnson had a decent game, pretty good game. But Claypool, man, one pass for -2 yards. I don't know what was going on, but that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Hopefully he didn't insult Ben's, wife or something, because Big Ben just did not look his way. So, yeah, that was a struggle. So, all right, so we're going to continue to our starts, our QB starts. So James is going to go over that for you guys.
All right, so QB starts of the week. Ryan Tannehill versus the Bengals. Ryan Tannehill has thrown multiple touchdowns in the past 14 of the last 15 regular season games. He's eclipsed 300 yards in the 2 of the last 3 starts. Heading into the week, he's definitely going to be a start, in my opinion. Then Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had past 2 games, scored over 30 points in our league. He up in the 20. High 20s in multiple regular leagues, but he's very, very solid going into this game. He's been running the ball a lot more. He's going against Dallas. I mean, there's not much to say.
I think everybody scores high points against Dallas at this point.
I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, this guy can throw over 300 yards going in this week.
We're putting anybody. I mean, we're taking. I think I heard last where they're actually willing to take anybody and everybody to play defense right now. So
yeah, quarterback too.
Well, yeah. Poor Dalton. R.I.P.
So Justin Herbert is going to be my other start for this week. He's thrown in over 300 yards in almost every game he started, with multiple touchdowns. He's definitely a strong performer this week. I would put him in the top 5 for sure QBs this week for fantasy points, yardage. Then QB sits Matthew Stafford versus Indy's the second fewest points towards QBs, and hasn't even given up a 300-yard game. So Matthew Stafford would be a sit for me. I know he had a decent week last week, but who was he playing? Atlanta? I mean, come on. Then Drew Brees versus the Bears. The Bears are given the fewest number one defense for for QBs against QBs. So the fewest to quarterbacks. They've been only an average of 230 yards, I believe it was, for QBs in the air. I don't see him, and not even a touchdown, not even one average touchdown. It's less, I believe, 0.7. So I would not start Drew Brees this week, and we don't even know if Thomas is playing. They had third, fourth, fifth string playing last week. He did well, but it's not the Bears. Then Matt Ryan versus Carolina. I know Matt Ryan's been decent the past couple weeks, but he's going against Carolina. Carolina's given up the fourth fewest points to quarterbacks this season. He's already played them once, and he had less than 200. I think it was like 226 yards, and he only scored 8 fantasy points. So against Carolina, I wouldn't start him. Even Julio's playing. A streamer guy, like we said, Teddy Bridgewater. That would be a great pick for that. Herbert, I saw, was only owned in 80% of fantasy leagues. I don't know what you guys are waiting for with that. But I would definitely add someone else other than those guys if you have them. All right, now we're going to go with wide receiver starts with Steve.
All right, so the first guy I'm going to mention is Hollywood Brown. I know he's not somebody you would normally start in most leagues, but if you actually look at his matchups, he's going into the easiest part of their schedule for the Ravens. This week they play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has given up the 9th most points to the wide receiver position. And Hollywood Brown is actually 3rd in the league in air yards. 3rd in the league. The difference is he has not been able to connect with Lamar Jackson really well. He's only got 1 touchdown this season. So if he starts converting some of those air yards into scoring plays or some deep passes that Lamar is trying to connect with, they're just not quite on the same page, Hollywood Brown would be a top 10 receiver right now. So, again, he's somebody I would absolutely start against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just doesn't do a great job against the receiver. They have a good defense, linebacker-wise, and defensive line, but their secondary is still questionable. Next guy is DJ Moore, the guy who absolutely killed probably most of you guys in fantasy. Definitely hurt my chances of winning this week based off of his 2 touchdowns. Again, against Atlanta. Atlanta's giving up the 5th most points to the wide receiver position. He went off last week with those 25 points in a PPR league, 2 touchdowns. He's showing a lot more consistency. And again, the confidence from Teddy Bridgewater right now, when he's against a weaker defensive team, Teddy Bridgewater spreads that ball around. Robbie Anderson still had a good game. DJ Moore had a good game. And even Curtis Samuel came back from injury, had a really good game. So they are passing while Christian McCaffrey's been hurt. Mike Davis kind of struggled last week. But the good news, if you guys checked out our Twitters, McCaffrey is back to practice. So keep an eye on that. So any of you Mike Davis owners who didn't have Christian McCaffrey as your backup off the bench for injured, I would be a little hesitant right now, a little nervous, because Mike Davis will be losing that starting role real soon. So we'll keep you up to date if McCaffrey does play. I don't expect him to this week. I think there's still one more week, but he is practicing, which is a good sign for him, his return.
We should know something by Wednesday. So Wednesday, keep a lookout for those tweets. Yeah,
they have a Thursday game, so tonight with the game, we just got to know how that's going to work out as far as the Thursday games go. So he may play. I think it's more going to be just a getting used to the practice and getting back into it. I think Mike Davis still get the start, so don't be too worried. But just we'll update you guys if anything changes. Last guy for your wide receiver starts is Tyler Boyd. They're going against Tennessee. Tennessee's given up the 4th most points to the wide receiver position. Tyler Boyd had 28 points last week. He's averaging just under 9 targets a game. Tyler Boyd is an absolute wide receiver 1 star almost every single week. I know we mentioned him because I think some people still are kind of hesitant with him. He absolutely earns that wide receiver start every single week. And you're starting to see some of the rest of that receiver core, Higgins, AJ Green starting to show up again. So that's some really good weapons for them. But Tyler Boyd is the number 1 guy. Absolutely start him this week. I know this guy had, whatever. Well, we're not going to talk about it.
No.
So the starts were great. Now we're going to go to sits, which is Jamison Crowder is the first guy going against Kansas City. Kansas City's actually given up the 5th fewest points to the wide receiver position, and Crowder's still dealing with that injury. He didn't play this past weekend. Not really sure what's going to happen with this weekend. It's just questionable, up in the air. He may not play, but if he does play, he's somebody I would not look forward to starting this week. Maybe flex if you have to, but he is not somebody I feel confident in. Next guy is Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has been struggling for the Rams lately. They're going against Miami, and Miami actually has given up the 11th fewest points. They're actually doing a really good job against the wide receiver position. He's also going to have Howard covering him, who's an amazing cornerback for them. Yes, Cooper does play the slot, but I think Cooper edges out Robert Woods a little bit more as far as coverage goes. And even Robert Woods struggled as well. So we had them as a sit last week against the Bears. I still have them as a sit against the Miami Dolphins this week. Last guy is DeVante Parker for the Miami Dolphins against the Rams. So the Rams, obviously, you're going to have Ramsey shadowing him right now. The Rams have given up the 2nd fewest points to wide receiver position. So I just don't start Parker this week at all. No confidence at all in that matchup. Plus, you have Tua. This is the first week Tua's going to be starting.
Yes.
Okay, so no Fitz magic going on out there. Nobody knows how Tua's going to play in his first game. It's always iffy when it comes to a rookie. Don't start DeVante Parker this week.
The beard has been bent.
I know. I feel bad. If you guys saw that video of Fitzpatrick, it just brought a tear to my eye. I mean,
yeah, he was like, I'm heartbroken.
It wasn't fair, but we all understand Dolphins are going to the future. We knew it was coming. So Tua is starting. Sit DeVante Parker.
Hopefully get like a wide receiver 1 or 2 out of that guy.
Yeah, I think give it some time. I think Parker will be a great pickup for the rest of the season. I just don't like his matchup this week against the Rams.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to the next position, which would be the running backs. James.
All right, so running backs, Todd Gurley is my first guy versus Carolina. Carolina's given up the 4th most fantasy points to running backs, and he's played him already once. He had 121 yards and a touchdown versus them, so he had quite a bit of points right there. Hopefully you're running this fantasy squads that you get bonuses. Usually it's fantasy squads over 20 yards. Get a bonus. So hopefully you got one of those from him. All right, so second we're going to go with Jonathan Taylor versus Detroit. The Lions has given up the 5th most fantasy points this season to running backs. Taylor's been looking fresh, been looking great. He's taking he's definitely going to be their wide receiver, running back 1. Hines, I know, has been taking some snaps away from him, but it's been getting bigger roles for Taylor. So definitely a start for us. And Josh Jacobs third versus Cleveland. Josh Jacobs is back at running back 1 talks again. He's getting his O-line back this week, hopefully. I know he struggled last week, but he didn't have his starting squad. I know they were playing the Browns, they're going to play the Browns, which is in the middle of the pack with defense. But 18 points they gave up to Bernard. So look for Josh Jacobs to do well in your fantasy squad. Running back sits. We're gonna go with Zeke.
Poor guy.
He's a everyday start guy that we never have to talk about. But these past few weeks without Dak, he's not doing well at all. I think in our league he had 8 points. He's going against Philly. Philly's given up the 8th fewest points to running backs. Philly's defensive line can get to that quarterback. They're going to get to Zeke. I don't see him as a good start this week. I mean, maybe flex talk. But I'm sure you got somebody else that you can rather put in at running back 2 in your league.
Yeah, I think for Zeke, I know that really any of the Cowboy players right now, a lot of uncertainty in fantasy right now. I will tell you, I have a league in mind that I had Zeke in my first-round pick. I actually ended up trading him straight up for DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm glad I did. I had other running backs that I fill in. I picked up a Robinson in the waivers and things like that in the past, so I had the running backs to give up Ezekiel Elliott and gaining a solid wide receiver 1 and DeAndre Hopkins has been a beast. So he may be somebody you might want to trade, if you can get really good turn, in turn. I think Zeke obviously still the guy, but unless it's a great matchup, which this week Philly's actually really good against the run, a lot of these players you just can't trust right now. I mean, I think we're playing Brucey from the longest yard at quarterback. I mean, it's scary for the Dallas Cowboys fantasy players where they were doing really great when Dak was there, and obviously you can see how important Dak was to that offense and how much it's changed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. How CD scored, 0.6 points in most leagues. That was another bad one. He could have been dud 1, dud 2 right there. Devin Singletary versus New England. Patriots giving up 5th fewest to the running back position. Singletary has been sucking it up. I mean, I have him. I haven't started him. He's been on my bench for the last 3 weeks now. But I'm even thinking about dropping him, to be honest. Moss is back. He's going to take shares away. Singletary has been taking most of the snaps, but I don't know with that guy. Devonta Freeman versus Tampa. There was an injury update. I know he's injured. He might not even play, but I have him as a sit. He's owned in almost 80% of fantasy leagues.
Don't know why.
He's not a good option this week. I don't see him being a good option for the rest of the season because Giants can't get anything going on offense. Our leading running back right now is
Daniel Jones, the beast.
Yeah.
Except when he has to run more than 80
on
yards.
His name.
Yeah, I'd stumble too.
But they're playing the Bucks. Bucks defense is fantastic, so I would sit him. If you have Jones, you better sit him too. I'll tell you that right now.
All right, so the starting tight ends for this week, I've got Richard Rodgers. I made sure he was in our waiver wire video. Richard Rodgers for the Philadelphia Eagles is the only tight end right now for them, so that's it. They're going against Dallas. Dallas is giving up, obviously, the 10th most points to the tight end position. And being that that's the only option for wins, there's injuries. Deshaun Jackson got hurt again. There's still just a lot of decimation when it comes to the receiving core for Carson Wentz. Richard has done a great job as far as targets. He had 14 points last week. Great tight end streaming, this week if you need to. Next guy I want to talk about is Jonnu Smith. Yes, I know he struggled. He hurt a lot of you guys as far as fantasy goes. Actually, we have people asking us on Twitter, like, is he even alive? I mean, he didn't show up for a little bit, but Jonnu Smith was alive. He was targeted 4 times. He only had 1 catch for 9 yards. But you have to understand the Pittsburgh linebackers are fast and ferocious. Those guys did a great job blanketing Jonnu. And Jonnu still had 2 targets in the red zone. So, obviously, Tannehill still trusts and wants to throw his direction. Feel confident against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's given up the 2nd most points to the tight end position. So just don't be scared. Make sure Jonnu Smith is in your lineup. Next guy is Rob Gronkowski. We have him as a great start. You could see the development between him and Brady. He had a great week last week. He had a great week the week before. He's being targeted in the red zone again. And they're going against the Giants, who give up, yes, I know only the 9th fewest points to the tight end, but there's no Godwin this week. Okay? So really you've got Evans, Scotty Miller, Gronk. Okay, so make sure you start him. He's done a great job. That connection is starting to fire up again with Brady and Gronk. As far as the sits go, I have Jared Cook against the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears giving up the 15th fewest points to tight end, but they've also given up the least amount of touchdown passes in the league. So Chicago, they've just done an amazing job. Do not start Jared Cook this week, even if Michael Thomas and Sanders are still out. I know there's very few options for Brees, but he's not somebody I would trust. Next guy I have is TJ Hockenson. He has been a great start. He did really well last for us when we mentioned him as a starter. This week he's a sit going against Indianapolis. Indianapolis is giving up the fewest points to the tight position and still not allowed more than 33 yards to the tight end. So do not start DJ. I mean, they're doing a great job. And that's with Darius Leonard out. I mean, when he comes back, that guy is just a beast. Last guy is going to be the shocker for most of you guys. You're probably going to start him anyways, but I have Mark Andrews as a sit against Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh's given up the 7th fewest points. They shut down Jonnu Smith last week. This past weekend, Mark Andrews is just struggling. He's more red zone dependent than he was last year. I think last year he's done a lot of targets, but if you watch those games for the Ravens, it has been the Lamar Jackson show, and that's really it.
Yeah.
There's no running back supporting. The receivers are struggling. I mean, just everybody besides Lamar has struggled and really in fantasy. Mark Andrews has his games, but I just don't trust him against the Pittsburgh defense this week. They've done an amazing job shutting down the tight end. So, again, I recommend sitting him. If he's the only option you have, obviously you got to start him. I will look at some streaming tight ends that are out there. There's plenty. Like I said, we mentioned in our waiver wire video. I would be a little careful and hesitant in starting him. So, last thing we want to talk about, we mentioned it last week in our video, is we want to talk about some defensive teams. I know some of you guys play defensive teams. There's also individual defensive players as well. We may do a video at some point with IDP, but right now we'll focus on actually the whole as defense, so we'll talk about that.
All right, so Chiefs versus the Jets this week. They're projected to be about 10 points this week in fantasy points. I mean, Jets, they don't even have a offense. And Chiefs have been pretty decent in defense this year. Then Buccaneers versus the Giants. Giants haven't been doing anything in the offense. They've gotten better, yes, the last 2 weeks, but it's still nothing to be worried about. Plus, I mean, Tampa's defense is one of the best in the league right now in every category. Then Rams versus Miami. Rams, their defense is tough. They're that D-line, man. They could get to the quarterback for sure.
And you got Tua playing, so who knows?
Yeah, that too. Saints at Chicago. That's not going to be a shootout. Saints, we got projected at about 8.5 points. But I don't see Foles is a fool. that guy, man, caused this guy to lose last week.
0.6. What is
0.6 points. Yeah, threw that interception. That's tough. The next, Steve's going to take.
Yeah, so the next we have is going to be the Buffalo Bills against New England. If anybody's watched any of the New England games the past few weeks, it's not the same. Tom Brady left. I don't know. Maybe it was Tom Brady, not Belichick. I'm just going to leave it out there. But Buffalo Bills against the New England Patriots. We'll see if Cam turns it around, but right now it's just not a great thing for the New England Patriots. Then we also going to have the Packers against Minnesota. Packers have had a pretty good defense. The really big thing in that is they may give up some, rushing to, Dalvin Cook if he's playing this week, but there's no trust really right now with Kirk Cousins, so they've got a better pass defense than they do a rush defense, so I expect, obviously, the Packers to do really good.
Mrs. Diggs.
Yeah, Kirk's just changed ever since, Diggs has left. I think there's a lot of different things, but Kirk Cousins is not doing really well. Then, of course, the Eagles against Dallas. Let's be honest. Dallas is playing with whoever they need to get a quarterback. And that offensive line is absolutely decimated. Defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles are doing a really good job. I mean, I expect at least 3 or 4 sacks, maybe a couple turnovers because Dallas likes to give the ball away. They like to, give challenges to themselves.
Did they say Red Rockets playing?
Oh, Andy Dalton's not playing. I mean, they haven't officially announced it, but there's no way he's coming back after that hit from Bostic. So, yeah, it's just one of those games. I'm not watching it. It's a Sunday night game. They need to turn that off. So, I don't know why they're even playing.
Who's going to take over the NFC East?
Yeah, it's a bad one. So, Philly, good start this week.
Bears versus New Orleans. Bears are going to have, their defense is doing great. We got the Saints having a little bit better points, but it's not by much. But Bears, good turnover rate, not allowing much in the air. They're a good streamer, or if you have them, definitely play them. Then the Seahawks versus San Fran. There's going to be some turnovers. That's where you're going to get most of the points. San Fran, if Garoppolo can't get stuff started. I know Debo's is out, but if he can't get anything going well with Kittles, last week that wasn't that wasn't great either. But Garoppolo did have a good week last week. But he's playing the Seahawks, which they do great in turnovers, but let a lot of air yards go for sure. Then Ravens versus Pittsburgh. Ravens, they can get to the quarterback, and that's where you're going to get most of your points there.
All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching our Week 8 Start and Sits video. Again, we appreciate all the feedback and comments, all the likes, the subscription you guys have done for this video and this channel, of course. We, again, appreciate it. 20 subscribers away from hitting that 100. So thank you guys for those who have subscribed. Please make sure you hit it if you haven't yet. Continue to help us grow this channel and give you the content you guys are looking for to help your fantasy team. If you have any questions, please make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll be able to answer those questions in real time. Any lineup questions, waiver wire questions, trade questions. A lot of trade deadlines starting to come up soon. So please ask away. Follow us on there. Also, if you have anything, just leave us comments down below. Any feedback you guys think.
Yes, please.
Anything that's helping. We've had some people have left some comments that we've helped them win some games. So that's what we're here for. We want to help you guys win some games. So please let us know in the comments down below if we've helped you guys out have a successful season. And we look forward to seeing you guys for our next video next week. So have a good night.